Assalamu alaikum. In this lesson we will learn the following letters. First we've got the Sheen. It has several shapes to it. The first one where all the tops are horizontal and leveled with each other. There's also another one where the letters get inclined, whether with an angle or with a curvature. Finally, we've got a shape that looks like this. It looks like a triangle. Now the Sheen is also a Sheen, so learning this letter would teach us the Sheen. Also, we are going to look into the Saad, which has several shapes to it, and the Daad. Finally, we are going to look at the Ta and the Dha. So let's start with the Sheen. As usual, we take our baseline, be somewhere around here. We could use the 16mm thickness or the 8mm thickness, whatever we feel good with. Let's use the 8. And here we've got the full thickness of the line. Now, let's start from this point, right over here. Now, this Sheen could be connected or disconnected. We have to measure from this point upwards 3 times the thickness. 3 by 8 gives us 24mm. This means 2.4 centimeters, right over here. We connect this line to this point. This is the first side of the first tooth, of the first upper move. Now, the thickness, as we said before, is 8mm. Therefore, we've got it right here. Between the parts that are going upwards, we are going to leave half thickness. So this is the full thickness, T. This is also T. Between this part and this, the following part is half T. So it'll be right over here. This is also full thickness. No, sorry about that. It's right over here. This is full T. After that, we are leaving 4mm, half the thickness. And finally, we are going to add the last bit of it, which is 8mm. We've got 3 perpendicular lines going upwards. Now, the top part of it, which we measured here, would be the top line for all 3 lines. Let's mark that. For the Sheen, there is a decorative move that looks like the bars. So here we've got our Sheen, whether it was connected from here or not. Here we've got the first part of it, the second, and the third. Now, we said this height is 3T, given that this is T. Those are also T's. Meanwhile, the inner part is T over 2. Now, we are going to add this decorative move. To have this shape. Which is quite similar to the bars. Now, for this decorative move, they all meet at the same point, which is T, the full thickness. And we already have the half T from here to here. So let us determine this line that will give us the coordination of this dip or pin. From this upper line we go down the full thickness, which is about around here. We give a straight line for it. There we go. And you connect this part to this part. So basically you connect from the top right corner of the line to the intersection of the next line with the 4mm or the full thickness we've achieved here. So here we've got 4mm, go down 4mm and connect. The same thing goes for the next one. You go all the way down to here exactly, and you do the same thing, go down, and finally the last one needs measurement over here, 4mm, go down and you go back. Now, as we mentioned before, you can either have the decorative move either straight, or you can have it curved to give you this shape. There's a curvature here. You can leave 1 or 2 millimeters for this curvature. Let's ink it and see how it will look like. Now, this can be connected from the right or from the left, can come in the middle of the word, or you can end it and have it singular or at the end of a word. Let's see if we want to add the bottom part of it. As always, we've discussed that the maximum drop we can go for is 1.5 the thickness. Therefore, we are going downwards for 12mm, which is right over here. You take the last bit of the letter and you continue it all the way down and curve it. Therefore, this letter would end up here, starting from this line, and the thickness or the amount of space for the body of the scene would be 2 times the thickness. So you take this line, you move out of it 2 times the thickness, which is 16mm, which would be around here. Mark this line. You start from here, you go all the way down, and you stop at the bottom of the thickness, just like that. You take the second part, now you do it like here. Now, as we can see, this is too thin, therefore we can reduce the amount of the radius of this circle. We will upload detailed measures for letters once we finish them, because we are preparing a full detailed design for each letter to be easier for us to understand. Now let's ink this, let's color it and see how it will look like. Now, as you can see here, this is a singular scene. If you want to connect it, just color this part. If it was in the middle, just color this part, and continue it with deleting this decorative or this body of the scene. Now, for a different shape of the scene, starting from the baseline, as we said before, this time we are going upwards 3.5 the thickness that we have. Therefore, for this move, we've got the baseline, we've got the thickness line. Starting from here, we move upwards 3.5t. Therefore it will stop right here. Now, after determining the top line of the letter, and as we've seen, we can actually determine the 3 pillars building the scene. We have a dimension right over here that intersects with this one. These letters go in an inclination that equals, we've got T, 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 those are 3T. Each one of those is half T plus T equals 4T. Therefore, this dimension would be T. Let's have a look how it would look like. We start, as we said, with the letter itself. Starting from here, we will move upward 3.5 times the thickness, which is 28 millimeters. Ends up right over here. Let's mark this line to show us where the rest of the letters are going. We leave the full thickness. So, we've achieved the 3 pillars. Now, the inclination they are going for is fourth the size of the thickness, a quarter of the size, which is this one. Here we've got it 8 millimeters, which is right about here. We can see the inclination. We took the full thickness T here, we dropped it, and right now with each intersection we are going to do the decorative move. So for example, it intersects right from the top of here. Therefore, when we go down, we go the full thickness, which is 8 millimeters. That's right around here. And we connect these two. Now the next one starts from this point, which is about 2 millimeters from the upper part. You stop here, you take down 2 millimeters, and you connect them. That's why squared paper is quite helpful in these cases, because you're able to notice that you've got a drop of 2 millimeters here, which will conflict on this point, and you can take the point here from this one. Right over here it drops for 4 millimeters. Therefore we are going to move 2 millimeters from this line, which is around here. Let's outline it and see how it would look like. There you have it. Now, as we can see here, they look quite neat and tidy. They look really pretty, the inclination of the letter. Now, as we've done here, we can add the body of the scene if it was by itself or at the end of a word. Therefore, let's ink this one and see how it would look like. Now, for the last one, or the one after this one, the inclination is going to affect the top of the letter. Right here we added the inclination, but we kept the decorative move as it is. The next one, what we are going to do is take the same scene that we've just written, instead of having the decorative move to be straightforward and upwards, what we are going to do is draw a semicircle from this part like this, and when we connect the decorative move, it will end up with this point. So instead of having only the first part of it starting from the concavement, it will be actually the whole letter concaved, as if it was crushed by a semicircle. Let's have a look and see how we can make that. We keep the same heights, 3.5 the thickness, which is this one. We do the same moves. We've just drawn the pillars that we've got here with the same height as this one, 3.5 the thickness. Now we do the same inclination. We start from the beginning point and locate the end point, which is around here, and we go down the full thickness. Now we take the midpoint of this line, which is about here, and we go downwards 2.5 millimeters. Let's take 2 millimeters, since 0.5 millimeter would be really hard to draw. So what we are going to do, we've achieved this inclination. We locate the center line of it. We go downwards 2 millimeters or 3 millimeters about here, and you connect it with a semicircle just like this. You can either do it freehandly or use one of these tools that we've mentioned before. They give you a nice neat line to them. Now you can actually connect this line because it's the decorative move governed by it, so all the tops will be connected just like this. And now you see the intersection here. All what you have to do is find this point and go downwards for 4 millimeters from it in order to draw the second move of the decorative move. Here we've got this one. Then you connect the straight lines, and there you have it. Let's color it and see how it look like. Again, it's the same thing. If you want it to be the beginning or by itself, you just add this one. If you want it to be middle, as we've done here, you connect these together. And if it was a sheen, add 3 dots. Some people add them like this. Some people add them like this. It depends on your taste. Others would put them on top of each other. It depends on the design that you've got here. We've got another shape, and this shape is actually a triangle, just like this one. The degree that we are going to work with is 49 degrees, so you will need a tool, a protractor, I think it's called, something like that, a protractor. Anyway, we will start with the same line we talked about. As we can see here. Locate the starting point of the letter. Let's take it somewhere here. From this point, locate the 51 degree and connect them. In order to get the triangle, what we are going to do is locate these lines. We've already achieved the first part of the triangle. We've got the thickness. We went upwards with a full line. We've agreed that this is 51 degrees. And we've also agreed that the tip point from here to here is 4 times the thickness. Now, the full length of this part from here all the way down here, which is, if we took it by itself, would be this dimension. This equals 6.5 the thickness, which will give us 52 millimeters. Therefore, what we are going to do is take the bottom line and measure 5.2 centimeters. It's around here. Now, if you measured this line, you will find that it intersects with the 49 degrees point. Using the protractor. So, we've got the triangle that keeps our letters together. What we are going to do is the same move that we've done here. We take a perpendicular line to this line and measure 8 millimeters and half millimeters. So we start from here. This is 8. We go 8 millimeters and 4 millimeters, which is the half of the thickness. Now, all what you have to do is find the intersection here and connect it with this decorative move that we've already done everywhere. I personally prefer this one over all the others because of the triangle shape. It gives you more beauty in the script. Now this one comes in the middle. It's called a pyramid scene or sheen. Again, you can choose however you want to put your dots. So you should put them not in this way rather than in this way. But I just wanted to see how they would look like in an opposite direction of the triangle. Or if you want to, you can have them like this, sort of close on, and this is it. Now, an important note. We know that the scene and the sheen has 3 pillars to them. So what if we were writing letters that aren't seen or sheen? Now, for example, if you were writing the word banate, I constructed. We've got ba, noon, ya, ta. Now, in order to distinguish that these 3 letters aren't seen, what you will have to do is change the height. So, if you remember in the ba, we said that you can choose between 2.5 to 3 t. If you got 3 letters after each other, all what you have to do is break the one in the middle. So let's say you've started from here. This is the thickness. Sorry about that. You've written the first letter with 3 times the thickness. The second one, you should start from down here. The third one should go all the way up. When you break the letters like this, you will avoid any misunderstanding in the differentiating between a scene and 3 letters after each other. So these could be, as we did here, noon, ya, and the ta. Or if you want to, for example, you like this move, the one we've got here, they are connected, you can, after breaking the first one, for example, the first one, you should do 2.5 the thickness. The second one went all the way up to here. If you want to continue this line, you can do so. So this is a letter, this is another 2 letters. You've got a nice connection between them. That looks beautiful, but they will never be misunderstood or confused with a scene, because you've added a break. So now that we've seen how the Sheen and Sheen look like, let's look into the Saad, Daad, Ta and Dha. Now these letters all look similar to each other, therefore we are going to build them on top of each other. As usual, this is our baseline. The Saad would look something like this. And here you've got the body of it. This part right over here is similar to the Sheen and Sheen. Now I've drew it like this to show you that if it was singular it would look like this with this part, and if it was connected you just delete this part and you have it like here. Now the Ta or the Dha, you just continue this to the maximum height. We've talked about the Alif height, and for the Ta by itself you will have a small decorative move right over here that looks like the Alif is, but it's on the other side. So this is the Ta, this goes upwards, and right here we've got a small decorative move. Now if you recall from the Dal, we added a decorative move right over here that looked something like this. You can add this move if you want to. It's the exact same move like the Dal. So let's start with the Saad and build on it the rest of the dimensions. Now I'll write it with the 8mm thickness in order to have the maximum height of the Ta. By the way, the red color here and the one that was on my fingers was red ink, it wasn't blood. And yeah, when you do calligraphy, expect yourself to be a bit dirty with ink, because that's how it is. Not that it should be always the case, because when you work on art pieces they should look sharp and clean, but don't expect that will be the case all the time when you practice especially. So right here we've got our baseline. We will take the 8mm thickness line as usual, and let's start from here with our letter. Now the base for the Saad and Ta, whether it was singular or connected, it is 8 times the thickness, which is 2/3 the height of the Alif. So 8 times the thickness, 8 by 8, that would be 64. Let's see what we mean by that. As usual, this is the line. Our Saad or Ta or Dha starts from here. The full thickness until this point is 8 by T, the thickness itself. So 8 by 8 will give us 64mm. Now mind you that this is where the upper part ends. The lower part continues after this part, if it was a Saad, or the decorative move for the Ta or Dha. So let's locate this limit for us. We said it was 6.4 centimeters, so 3, 3 and 4. this is where the letter would end, whether it was a Saad, a Da, a Ta, or a Da. Right now, as we learned in Harf al-Dal, we move on the full thickness, right over here. We go upwards half the thickness, and we drew the second line. The upper inner part of the lower inner part of the upper side. Right here we've got the same circular motion. We go another 8 millimeters right over here, and we do the exact same motion that we did for the Dal, where you take this as your center point and use a compass to draw it. Now from here, go back the full thickness in order to draw the height of it. This would be around here. This would be the full thickness. And you take the full thickness for the upper part too, as we've discussed. Now, for this part, the Saad part, the sin we call in Arabic, it is 1.5 a thickness, starting from this point, from the upper part of the Saad. Therefore, 1.5 equals 12. So this is the 12. It's right over here. You would add a decorative move like the Aleph one, but it points towards the left. Not to the right, to the left. So you start from here. We've got the full thickness down to here. This would be the line where this would intersect with. And as usual, you take the half thickness in order to close it with it. So this would look something like this. Now let's imagine that this is a connected a Saad or a Daad in the middle, and we need to outline it to see how it will look like. So there you have it. If it was a connected Saad, you've got letters coming from here. You colored this as a Saad or a Daad, and then you continue over there. If it was at the end of a word, as we've always said, you go down 12 millimeters, 1.5 the thickness, and to the left from this point you go 2 times the thickness, which is right over here, and you draw your semicircle right here. As we also said before, you can use these shapes in order to get a more governed curve for you. Anyway, by the way, if you made this for the Saad, it's the same for the Sheen that we've learned, and there are other letters that would share this move with the Saad and the Sheen. So let's just outline this. And here it will be a normal Saad. If you want to add the decorative move that we've talked about in the Dal, lots of shapes, lots of ways to draw it, but yeah, you can choose whatever suits you. For the Ta and the Da, all what you have to do is, as usual, find the maximum height. That was 9.4 centimeters. So that would end up right over here. Now, as the Aleph, you have to add the decorative move right over here. The dimensions are already mentioned in the Aleph. And there you have a Ta, if it was connected. If it was singular, there is a move that we've done for the ba, right over here. You go 1.5 a thickness to the left, which is 1.2 centimeters. Around over here. You go upwards with the 4 millimeter thickness from here to here. And then you close it back to its original shape. So, in order to fill in this shape, I will fill in the Saad with a highlighter, a light color, a yellowish color, and the continuous part of the Ta, I will do it with a black ink. So right here we've got the Saad or the Daad, and for the Ta, this one is singular or connected from the right. If you want to connect it from the left, just delete this part. And for the Ta or Da, it will look like this. This is Ta, or you can connect it from here downwards and color this to be a Daad, a Da. So, to summarize what we've learned today, we've learned 6 letters. We've learned the Sheen and the Sheen. They either come in this shape or this shape, or this shape, the one with the curve, the one that is inclined, and the one that is straight on. And we've got the triangular shape. That looks like this. We've talked about the dots. You can choose any way to put them on top of each other, next to each other, whatever suits you. Then we talked about the Saad and the Daad. Or Daad. Or if you want it to be connected or with a decorative move right on top of it. The Sheen also, we mentioned that you can have it at the end of the word by adding the small tummy to it. And for the Da and the Ta, it's the same as the Daad. The only difference is that you've got a long alif at the end of it, and the end of it is different shape. So, now you've learned quite a good amount of letters that will enable you to write some sentences. So far we've learned the alif, ba, ta, tha, the jim and ha and kha, the dal and dhal, the ra and zain, and today we've taken the Sheen and the Sheen and the Saad, Daad and Ta. Check the questions because they are quite beneficial for you. They will review your information, and see you in the next lesson.